In the TOEFL writing in 2026, the write an email task looks pretty simple, but students are starting to lose more points than they expected in the writing because of this task, and here's why. They don't understand the grading criteria. So this is the grading criteria from ETS, the company that makes the TOEFL. And you can see here, they have something called syntactic and lexical variety. So that's a fancy way of saying proper vocabulary. And if you look at one of the components, it says correctness of collocations. So you might not know what a collocation is. That is what we're going to talk about together in this video right now. Not just about collocations, not just about syntactic variety, but about the grading criteria of write an email. So I'm going to go through an example essay and show you how it addresses each of the grading criteria that I gotta work on that word, criteria. Each of the grading criteria that ETS gives you so you know exactly how to write an email and how to write an email in a way that the test makers want. So let's get into it right now. We're gonna start with how the question looks, just so we're on the same page of what to expect on test day. You're gonna look at a sample template. We're gonna look at what the graders care about. We're gonna go through a sample answer walkthrough, connecting the essay with the grading system, and also 4 common mistakes to avoid. Lots of good stuff. Let's get into it right now and talk about how the question will look. It's a pretty simple task, but there are actually a couple different ways they might ask you to write an email. In my research, I found a bunch actually. I found about 8 different ways that you could be asked to write an email. They're all pretty similar, but slightly different. You might have to report a problem, or request information, or schedule or change plans or deadlines. You might have to invite somebody somewhere, or apologize for not being able to make it somewhere. You might have to give a recommendation to somebody or follow up after a meeting that you had, or you just want to say thank you. Or it could be a combination of these things. So there's a lot of different variety to these question types. If you want to see more, I recommend you make a free account at tstprep.com. You get over 100 free practice questions for the TOEFL, and there's a bunch of write an email questions as well. I think there's like 5 or 10 or something like that free when you make an account. So check that out, tstprep.com. So we're going to take a closer look at this example of reporting a problem. And if you want to get a sense of, what you have to do, you can just read the 3 bullet points. On test day, definitely read everything, but just here, let's look at the 3 bullet points here. So you have to describe a maintenance issue, the maintenance issues you have noticed. You have to explain how they are affecting your daily life, and you have to request that they be repaired. So those are the 3 things I have to include. So I have a template that works for most emails, not all, so make sure that you are flexible with your template. If you want some ideas for your templates, you can check out the TOEFL writing guide, which I'll put a link to in the description below. It's completely free. It has more sample questions for all of the writing tasks. It also includes a template and some examples of me using the template as well. So definitely check that out. It's free, download in the description. So for this one here, you say dear and you write your name or whoever you're addressing. Pretty simple. I hope you're doing well and I apologize for disturbing you. I have this opening sentence for almost all of the emails I write. You don't have to do this. The reason I like this is because it sounds natural. It sounds polite, which is part of how you're graded. I'll talk about that in a minute. And also it has, it's a bit of a longer sentence. It uses the conjunction and. If I was just writing an email by myself, without the TOEFL, I'd probably say, I hope you're doing well, and then just, get to the point. I want to add a little bit more here because sentence length is part of your grade. So that's why this opening sentence is a little bit longer and includes and there. And then I explain the purpose why I'm writing this email recently, and then I might add a point in addition, and then I start explaining another point, another reason why I am writing this email connected to the first reason. And I have a request, probably. So for this example, would it be possible? Again, a polite way to ask for something. Would it be possible? Would you mind? Something like that. And thank you for reading, and close it out. So it's very simple. This template is very basic because there's a lot of different emails you might write. So you want to be flexible with the template, but that's the kind of general picture that we're going to go through here. So here's the email with my template included, and I've highlighted where the template is, but that's not what's important really. What's important is that I'm writing an email that the graders want to see, that I'm hitting all of the points that the graders ask for. So let's talk about that right now, what the graders are looking for when you write an email. So you want to think with the end in mind. You want to think about how you're graded. There are two sources that I have here from ETS, the company that makes the TOEFL. The first is their scoring rubric for writing. They also have something called the Technical Manual for the 2026 TOEFL that has a bit more detail about what's included and how you're graded for writing an email. So we're going to go through each of these grading criteria, and I'm going to show you how this essay hits all of these points. There are 4 dimensions, 4 scoring dimensions, and 11 grading criteria. Let's start with the dimensions. They are the content, that's like if you're on topic and answering the question, vocabulary and grammar, you want to show that you have a wide range of that, social conventions, that you use polite language, and accuracy, so that you have the right grammar, the right vocabulary, you don't have a lot of spelling mistakes. So let's start with the first part, and let's start with the content, and I'm going to show you this essay and show you how I address each of these grading criteria. Very important. All right, so for the content, we have the number of sentences, discourse coherence, and similarity to question prompt. So let's start with the first one, number of sentences. Now, this one is actually kind of tricky. Do you think you need a lot of sentences or fewer sentences? A word count that I've heard floated around is about 100, 110. I recommend at least 120. And I've heard other people recommend a lot, up to 140 and 150 words. And that seems to be correct. You should be writing an email that goes up to 150 words if you can. If you can only write 120, and that's okay, but there seems to be a positive correlation between the number of words you write and the higher your score. So number of sentences, that doesn't mean that you have a lot of sentences. I have 9 here. So this is about 156 words in total, and it's 9 sentences. What if I had the same amount, 156 words, in 20 sentences? That would hurt my score. It means I'm writing a lot of short sentences. You need to write longer sentences. So that doesn't mean you should only have like a email that's only 2 sentences long and super long sentences. You don't want that. I would say probably around 7 to 12 sentences is probably ideal, something like that. Anything more, you might be writing sentences a bit too short. Anything less than 7 is you might be stuffing too much information into one sentence. Maybe you could get away with 6 or 7, but that's as low as I would. 5 is probably the lowest I would go. So that means each sentence is 30 words long. You have very long sentences, and it's probably sounding a little weird. Discourse coherence. This is connecting your sentences, making sure your email has a flow. I have a couple of them here, recently as part of the template, also, and in addition. So that's discourse coherence. That's using words to bring sentences together, and it shows a logical flow. Some other examples of this are things like, first of all, second of all, in conclusion, as you can see, these types of things. Emails don't really need a conclusion, so you definitely don't want to say in conclusion for emails. But that's an example of a phrase that helps your discourse coherence. Also from content is if you basically answered all of the points in the task. And what do I mean by that? So if you remember, there's 3 bullet points, right? So you need to describe the maintenance issues, you have to explain how they're affecting your life, and you have to request information. I've highlighted where I've done that in this email here, that I've addressed each of these points. Very, very important. Part of your score for content, make sure you address each of these bullet points. These bullet points are the most important part of the question. Make sure you answer them, read them carefully. The next grading criteria is vocabulary and grammar. And of course you know that vocabulary and grammar is important, but the way that it's graded might surprise you a little bit. So before I talk about that, I want to give a quick shout out to the TOEFL emergency course, as I always do. If you're in a hurry and you just want to get your score as quickly and as easily as possible, this is the course for you. You don't have to keep hopping around YouTube. You don't have to keep getting practice from sources that you're not sure are trustworthy or not. Everything you need included in this course. Set it and forget it. You have study plans for 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, and 1 month. This is ideal for anybody who has less than 30 days to prepare. Even if you have just 2 days, everything is there. This is an offer only for the YouTube audience. Check it out. Link in the description. The TOEFL emergency course for you. All right, the next grading criteria is vocabulary and grammar. So the first criteria is sentence variety. That basically means that you don't have the same structure over and over again. You don't want to say, I like ice cream is delicious, yummy, yummy ice cream. That's not even a sentence anyway. You don't want to use the same forms over and over again, so you need to change it up a bit. One thing that I think is a little surprising about the template and about how to write these emails is using the present progressive. The first sentence is I'm writing to. I'm writing to tell you, I'm writing to inform you, I'm writing to ask you, I'm writing to mention here. I don't use the present progressive very often in writing, but here it's very useful for the first opening sentence, I am writing to. And then I show other ways of showing sentence variety. I'm also worried about wasting water because I'm still using the present tense, and I'm also talking about the reasons why I'm worried about something. I also have a request with would it be possible. I also have a sentence with the word since, where I have to bring 2 clauses together with the word since. So there's a lot of different types of sentences here. There's also I will be at home all week. Okay, so this is more of a future tense. So you can see here that I'm using a lot of different sentence variety, verb tenses to show a high level of English knowledge. You also want to have a good variety of vocabulary. Sorry. There's hard words in this lecture. Criteria, I've had to reshoot this a bunch of times because I keep on messing up criteria. You have to show a good variety of vocabulary. And part of that is using vocabulary that's not so frequently used. So for example, the word disturbing in the template. I'm sorry for disturbing you. The word faucet here. This is not very common. Or interrupting. So not too crazy, but a little bit difficult vocabulary. I also have phrases as well. And this is part of your grade, which is about your collocations, that you use them well. A collocation is like a phrase, and it's a phrase that we bring together. So it's not just like a phrasal verb like turn on or turn off, but also phrases that come together often. So for example, steady leak. Oftentimes when we're talking about a leak, when water is dripping down, we have the modifier steady. It's a steady leak. So this is a collocation that I'm using well and I'm using accurately. It keeps dripping all day and night. They have no way of letting me know, and I have to arrange repairs. These are all collocations, phrases that often come together. Also notice that I try not to repeat the same words over and over again. I said leak twice, so I'm trying to find a different word. So I say, water's dripping. And so I try to change it up a little bit. Make sure you try not to say the same word too often in your response. So that is the vocabulary and grammar. You show a range of vocabulary, a couple sentences, maybe with more than one clause, and not so simple, same verb tense over and over again. Also, part of your grading criteria, or this is another dimension, is your social conventions. So this is using polite language. To give you an example here, I hope you're doing well and I apologize for disturbing you. Your opening sentence is very polite. When you write an email, a lot of times you're asking for something. So would it be possible? You don't just say, hey man, fix my sink. Not very polite, not part of our social conventions. You have to use polite language. So would it be possible? And then you end with thank you for reading. Not too abrupt, you try to be more polite. A little bit later in this video, when I get to the mistakes, I'm going to show you how to do this, some more examples of this in your writing. So I'll get to that a little bit later. But let me keep going with the last grading dimension, which is your accuracy. This is if you have typos, if you use the correct grammar, if you use the correct, vocabulary and it makes sense. So all of this is connected to the things that we've talked about already. And just, I try to make a perfect example for a YouTube video so there aren't any errors here. But, the number of errors you have, the mistakes you have will impact your score. Now, we have to get into the common mistakes. 4 common mistakes that are going to impact your score. So we talked about so far the grading criteria. Hopefully you know that by now, and you know everything that you need to include in your email. Now let's talk about some mistakes to avoid. The first common mistake is to rely too much on templates. Some students, they get really obsessed with the templates and they really just have to write in that structure all the time. As you can see, there are a bunch of different types of emails you might need to write. For example, you might have to write an email to your friend. Now, when you write an email to your friend, that's more casual. So the first sentence of our template here is, I hope you're doing well and I apologize for disturbing you, is going to sound really weird writing to a friend. So be flexible with your writing, with your template. Again, you can also check out the writing guide. There's a link in the description below to that. There'll be some more examples for you to learn from there as well. And also, while I'm on this topic, let me know in the comments below, because I'm getting to the end of this video, but I want to make sure that I ask you, what task type do you find the most difficult in the new TOEFL? I'm thinking of new videos to make, and I'm really curious about what you guys want to hear. So let me know in the comments below what you'd like to hear next. So anyway, let me get to the second mistake. And this is one that I say all the time with writing, is to practice without spell check. Very simple. We're just really used to spell check. I'm used to it. I have Grammarly, on my Chrome, and it just corrects everything. It's very annoying, actually. So you need to turn that off to practice. It's a big part of your grade. Just get used to it. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I talk about that a lot. The third mistake is not using polite language. So let me get more into part of your grade, which is social conventions, which I talked about before. The opening and closing, I hope you're doing well and thank you for reading and would it be possible? These are ways of showing you're polite. But let me show you some different ways of showing that you're polite. This is how you soften requests. So a lot of times you have to ask for something in the emails. You're writing to somebody, there's a reason why you're writing. You probably need something. So you're probably going to have a request at some point in your email. All of these are ways of making a request softer. Would it be possible for you to? I would appreciate if you could. If you have time, could you? When you have a moment, could you? Could you let me know if you could? That's a lot of could, that last one. Maybe I don't like that last one that much. But you get the point here. Is that it's all asking the same thing, but we want to make it a bit softer and a bit politer. The 3 different ways of using polite language, use the words would or could. You have a polite opening and closing, which is part of your template, and you have hedge words. If you want to know more about hedge words, check out my video, Writing Mistakes to Avoid. I'll put a link to it somewhere here right now or in the description, and you can learn more about how to use hedge words in your email. The last mistake I see people make is that they don't elaborate enough. This is a big one. This has to do with writing enough words. This is why you don't have 150 words. Now, what does that mean? There's a lot of details in my essay, in my email here, that are not included in the prompt. It's a lot of things that I imagined, that I added. Let me read the first couple sentences. I'm going to skip the first sentence, but I'm going to start reading after that. I'm writing to mention a few maintenance issues that I've noticed since I moved into the new apartment. Okay, so nothing new so far. Recently, the faucet in the bathroom sink has a steady leak that I cannot stop. I can hear this leak during the night and it is interrupting my sleep. Totally made up. This is just me using my imagination. I have to write about the problem, and now I'm writing 2 sentences talking about what's going on and how it's impacting my life. I'm also worried about wasting water because it keeps dripping all day and night. In addition, the doorbell on the front door doesn't work. This makes it difficult to receive packages from delivery drivers since they have no way of letting me know that they have arrived. Okay, again, I'm elaborating. I'm totally made up, right? So you need to be able to do this to have a big enough word count. Make sure you elaborate in your writing. That's the write an email task. Let me know if you found that helpful. And if you're ready to write and practice, check out this video here. And that's about it. Please subscribe. I always forget to do this, and please do that. It really helps. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.